transitioning to post 9/11, and there's tons of overlap there, obviously. But the most common by far, and the four you listed are four of the five. So good job on that. Are sinusitis, rhinitis, bronchitis. Bronchitis is going to rope these two together.
Mhm.
Sinusitis and rhinitis are separate. Okay,
Mhm.
so you can have 10% for sinusitis, you can have 30% for um, rhinitis, right, or vice versa. Now, I already know someone's going to say, well, mine says sinusitis with rhinitis at 10%. It's probably because one's 0, one's 10. They're just going to lump it all together, right? So whenever you have two compensable ratings, meaning 10% or higher, they're going to be separate. Bronchitis is going to rope those together. Don't just take that at face value. If you wanted to figure out why, then figure out what bronchitis is, right? And then you have asthma and COPD, and both of those are roped in with sleep apnea. So those all share the same rating. Now, there is a 38 CFR code, and I forgot what it is, where additional ratings can be given for sleep apnea and asthma. And it's rare. It's not, I'm not going to say it's rare, it's uncommon, right? And so if you have a CPAP at 50% for sleep apnea and you have 30% for asthma, the VA is going to concede and just rope your asthma under sleep apnea, right? Which is 50%. But in some cases where your asthma symptoms are severe, still at 30%, the VA can say, hey, these are still roped together, but we're going to give you 70% for sleep apnea and asthma. And so there's a 38 CFR code that allows for that. You don't have to make that determination. The VA makes that determination, okay? Just small little nuances like that. But those are the top five: sinusitis, rhinitis, bronchitis, asthma, and COPD, and then of course IBS under that MUCMI. And so,
Right.
um, looking at the changes for IBS, I think it's relevant because if you have IBS, there's now a 10 and 20% in addition to the 30% rating, right? So you have 10, 20, 30 for IBS. And if you're rated for GERD already, and we already posted this one, but you have to make that determination if you want to, touch the GI tract ratings. Generally speaking, and I'll just give you a one-liner up front, and we'll link the video down below that really explains it. If you have GERD at 30 or 60%, I probably wouldn't touch it, to be honest with you, unless you have esophageal stricture, right? But that's the one-liner. If you don't have GERD and you have IBS, go for it 1,000%. There's really no reason you should not. But those are really my last thoughts on the post 9/11 Gulf War era. Well, I guess this is my second to last thought, because here's my last thought. It kind of gets back. I think you opened my eyes a little bit that you said, the Vietnam veteran, Korea and Vietnam, looking at their presumptive list is wild, right? Absolutely. Like if you've taken sinusitis, rhinitis, and you're going to compare it to hypertension and prostate cancer and other cancers and Parkinson's, I mean, the Korea Vietnam era severity is going to outweigh Gulf War post 9/11, right? Not that it's a competition or anything, but it does make me think of, okay, well, what the 70s was 50 years ago, which is insane. 50 years from today, what cancers are going to be in addition to Gulf War post 9/11? And so it kind of goes back to doubling down on what we said at the very, very beginning. If you have a cancer, right, submit the claim. Let the VA collect that data, go with that, and then heck, 50 years from now, just like the Vietnam era or Gulf War post 9/11 era, we might see, Parkinson's or non-Hodgkin's or whatever cancers are out there added to the Gulf War post 9/11 list. To be honest with you, I hope we don't. I hope the data is not there to suggest that. But heck, if that's the thing, let's get it connected. So just blanketly saying, if you have a cancer in a serious condition, submit the claim. That's about it.
Right.
Yeah. Those are
And there's
really my closing thoughts.
yeah, and there's 11 cancers listed for Gulf War post 9/11 currently, and cancers sometimes don't show up right away. Right, it's years later that they could show up. So just be aware and don't don't stick your head in the sand and pretend that it's never going to show up. Get checked and that type of stuff, and make sure that you're on top of it, because like I said, you want to catch it early if it does show up. And if it does show up, you need to file for it. So now what? Now what's the question? So look, my suggestion is, if you're watching this video and if you're in service currently and you're getting ready to get out, is start being prepared, right? Getting prepared, getting the diagnosis, going and getting seen by a doctor, ideally while you're in service. If you feel weird doing it with your military, doctor, then try to find somebody out in the public and go out there and spend a couple $100 for the diagnosis, just to kind of get that front loaded. They don't care, the VA don't care what doctor saw you. They just care that a doctor saw you, and the date of your diagnosis, if it's in your window of active duty, you're solid. Yeah. So you will save yourself a lot of heartache. You can file what's called a BDD claim. That's the benefits delivery of discharge. You can file that up to 6 months prior to your discharge, but no later than 3 months to your discharge. So you have that 3 to 6 month window to file your claim. Take advantage of that if you have that opportunity to do so. If you're getting out on a medical type of a discharge, you have two choices. Most people now are selecting the IDES, which is the Integrated Disability Evaluation System, but there is also the LDES, Legacy Disability Evaluation System. Why would somebody want to utilize the Legacy? There's only a couple cases. Maybe you got a family emergency, your mother, your father, something like that, is in need of severe help and you need to get out as fast as possible. That will speed that process up. Or if you got a job offer and they want you to start as soon as possible, you can elect LDES. IDES integrates in the VA claim process, and so therefore it takes a little bit longer. Do they get it right all the time? No. They're going to leave stuff off of your claim, so you need to be prepared later to be able to file another claim with anything that they may have missed, the person who's going to help you with that. If you're out and it's within that 1 year period, keep an eye on those presumptives from the 1 year period. Go get diagnosed right away. And then lastly, if you're already outside of the 1 year window and you're like us, if you meet any of these presumptives, or you think that you may have something, but you're just not diagnosed yet, throw in an intent to file just to kind of preserve a date as you're getting all your documentation. If you're already diagnosed for something, for example, hypertension for Vietnam or rhinitis for Gulf War, you already have the diagnosis. That's great. You just need to pick up a few things. You can't find your DD-214, that type of stuff, and it's going to take you a little time to locate it or order it. Put in that intent to file. You could mail it in. You can do it online. You can call the VA directly and let them know that you want to put in an intent to file. That gives you a year to get your stuff together to file that claim and preserve that date.